Hello again, everyone. I'm Joe Longinusa, welcoming you to another edition of Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where industry leaders, golf professionals, and legends all come and discuss the great game we love so much. So without further ado, let's turn it over to our host to tell us who's next on the tee. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me again this morning on Next on the Tee. We are brought to you today by the great folks over at the French Lick Resort, an absolutely spectacular place. Their Pete Dye and Donald Ross design courses were ranked number 1 and number 2 in the state of Indiana by Golf Week. It was the site of last year's Senior PGA Championship and the LPGA Legends Championship. Go to FrenchLick.com to see for yourself how great it is. We are also sponsored by our friends over at The Leather Shop, makers of top quality, custom-made leather, dress, casual, and golf shoes. Do your feet a favor and put them inside shoes. They're going to keep them feeling good and looking good all day long. You can find them online at the-leather-shop.com. We also want to welcome our new friends and sponsor, the World Golf Village, located in historic St. Augustine, Florida. It is the home of the World Golf Hall of Fame. No matter the time of year or the length of your visit, World Golf Village is sure to deliver a great experience with family and friends, and you're going to make memories that are going to last you a lifetime. For more information, visit them online at worldgolfvillage.com or give them a call, 1-800-948-4653. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and today I have the privilege of sharing two of my favorite guests with you. First up is going to be PGA Tour pro and now regular broadcaster during tournaments on the Sirius XM PGA Tour Golf Channel, Paul Stankowski. I'll be chatting with Paul about overcoming injuries and a very serious health condition that scared so many of us recently. I'll also get his thoughts on the Champions Tour and the upcoming U.S. Open. Paul's going to join me here in just a few moments. Following him, another member of my dream fivesome, 2003 PGA Champion Shaun Micheel, is going to be back with me. I'll get his thoughts and memories from playing in the 2007 U.S. Open, the last time it was held there at Oakmont. Shaun was in the field that week. Shaun is also going to be in the field at the FedEx St. Jude Classic coming up here in a few weeks in his hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more when Shaun joins me a little bit later in this half hour. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. I'm so glad that you're here to take the journey with me over the next hour or so. But let's get the show started off right, and that's by helping you get your morning started off right. Go check out our friends over at Aroma Ridge because they offer an array of the finest mountain-grown gourmet coffees that you're going to find anywhere. You can find them online at aromaridge.com. Their secret, folks, hand-selected beans from a variety of coffee-producing countries from around the world. They roast those beans to perfection by their very own roast master, and their coffees are roasted to order, so specifically for you. And if you like a little flavor in your coffee like I do, they have almost any flavor that you can imagine. Plus, you can even mix and match flavors. You want to create one of your very own. They've also added a line of biscotti cookies that's fantastic. And not only are their coffees and their cookies great, but they're fantastic people as well. Check out all of their great products online at aromaridge.com. Next on the tee, like I mentioned a moment ago, is brought to you by our friends over at the French Lick Resort up in French Lick, Indiana. Folks, you want to talk about a spectacular resort to both play golf and just relax and enjoy yourself? Well, you need to go check out the French Lick Resort. Go to FrenchLick.com to see for yourself. Let's hear a word from our friends up there.
Now's the time to plan that golf getaway you've been dreaming about at French Lick Resort. We have new Golf Academy packages for 2016, guaranteed to take your game to the next level. Try our one-day Quick Fix Academy for golf emergencies. For more in-depth learning, try the Game Changer, designed to make you a better player. Our staff professionals are ready to work with you at French Lick Resort. Did you know there's only one place in the country that you can play courses designed by two members of the World Golf Hall of Fame on the same property? The Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses at French Lick Resort make us an ultimate golf destination for 2016. Check out the Ultimate Golf Package, the Hall of Fame Package, and other great offerings at FrenchLick.com. Let 2016 be that year you finally take your dream golf getaway at French Lick Resort. Play the courses champions play.
Yeah, folks, I've been blessed to play up there. I played the Pete Dye and the Donald Ross courses. They are absolutely spectacular. My family and I are already looking forward to getting back up there again this summer. The French Lick Resort needs to be on your list of places to stay and play. And oh, by the way, my friends, they also have a casino right there on the property as well. For more information and to book your stay, go to FrenchLick.com. And every week here on Next on the Tee, we like to kick off the show by saluting the brave men and women serving in every branch of our military who are tuning in around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network. We want to thank all of you for the daily sacrifices that you and your families are making to protect our freedoms and our liberties, and not just around the Memorial Day weekend, but every day year-round. We also want to thank our veterans for all you and your families have done for us over the years. It is through your strength and your efforts that our way of life is even possible. If you see a member of our military when you're out and about, in the airport, at a restaurant, wherever you may be, please stop for a moment and tell them thank you. They are our real heroes. Our sincere thanks as well to Sean Cruz and the wonderful folks over at the Armed Forces Radio Network. It is such an honor for us to have Next on the Tee be a part of your network. You can find our show by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org. And I also want to continue to remind our veterans, be sure to check out globalvoiceforveterans.org. Such a great site with news and articles and a wealth of information specifically geared towards our veterans out there that I'm sure you're going to find both interesting and beneficial. Again, globalvoiceforveterans.org. Check it out and bookmark it. All right, now back with me on the French Lick Resort guest line is one of my favorite guests, and that is PGA Tour pro and broadcaster Paul Stankowski. Let me remind you a bit about Paul's background. He's from Oxnard, California, started playing golf at the age of 8. He attended the University of Texas at El Paso, where he was a 3-time All-American and won the Western Athletic Conference Championship in 1990. Turned pro the following year in 91. His first pro victory came when he was out on the what's now the web.com tour. It was the Nike tour at the time, the 1996 Nike Louisiana Open. Backed that up by winning the very next week on the PGA Tour at the Bell South Classic, becoming the only golfer in history to win on back-to-back weeks on what's actually now the Nationwide Tour and the PGA Tour. In all, Paul has got 7 professional victories, 31 top 10 finishes, and I am very thankful in more than one way to have him here with me and Next on the Tee this morning. Good morning, Paul. Thanks for joining me again, my friend.
Hey, Chris. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
So, Paul, before we get your thoughts on what's going on around the PGA Tour, you recently gave us all a pretty big scare around your health. Do you mind sharing that story with us?
Yeah, that was we had a scary day a few weeks ago, the week of the Charlotte event on the tour. I had just finished doing the Sirius XM PGA Tour network for the Zurich Classic, and I actually had Sunday I do the show from DC. I had a little tightness in my chest and my arm felt funny, but I just kind of rested it out and it went away. Anyway, a few days later, after arriving back home, I'm getting ready to do a fundraiser for Kids Across America at a club here in Dallas, and that tightness came back larger than life, and I excused myself from the lunch table. We were just getting ready. We were finishing up lunch, getting ready to go play, and went to the restroom. And I was sitting there trying to figure out, okay, am I going to breathe this one out too? So I looked myself in the mirror and I just said, "Are you seriously not going to tell anybody about this?" And and at that point, I walked out of the bathroom. I found the guy, Mark Perry, who was running this fundraiser, and I just said, "Mark, man, I'm so sorry, but I think I might be having a heart attack." And so fortunately, we had a surgeon and a ER doc playing in our event.
Wow.
And so when the ER doc arrived, he took me inside. We got some aspirin and Tums and checked my pulse, and he just kind of was going through the protocol in his head, and he knew it was a big day. I mean, I'm supposed to play golf with each group, 3 holes with each group, and my company was giving away wallets or cash covers to every participant in this fundraiser, and so it was a big day for me and for the charity, and I wanted to play, and he said, he goes, "We got to get you to the hospital." So fortunately, he drove. I said no ambulance because I was in south of Dallas at Dallas National Golf Club, and I live in Flower Mound. which is about almost 50 minutes away. And my car was there. I just didn't want to make it hard on my wife. So he drove me back to Flower Mound and checked me into a emergency clinic here that a friend of his runs. And they ran some tests, and my troponin level was elevated. And so they admitted me. And I ended up at the Heart Hospital, Baylor, and they took good care of me. I'm grateful for, like I say, everybody that was there when it happened, and then just the people I know, the people they knew that, my friend Matt Bush, who was the ER doc, he drove me to Flower Mound. When I told him I wanted to go to Baylor Heart Hospital, he called ahead and knew somebody there and knew the doctor on site, and that doctor got me in touch with one of the best ulnar, what do they call it? I forget the exact term, but he's a cardiac surgeon that goes through the arm, not the groin, and he's one of the best. And so it was awesome, just the whole process. And I ended up having a 99% blockage of a secondary vessel in the heart, not a major one, but it was still, bad enough that they ended up putting a stent in me and sent me home the next day. So very mind-boggling week. I'm not a candidate, I wouldn't think, for a heart attack. I don't smoke, and I'm not a heavy drinker, and there's no, that I know of, history in my family of heart disease, and at a young age anyway. My parents are both in their mid-80s, but very, very strange. And then the fact that they can go through the wrist and go up into your heart and clean it out and stick a thing in there to open up the artery, and I'm like, it's just weird. And I was awake the whole time, and so it's very, very strange. And then the next day I'm home, and we had an event. We were servicing a member here in Dallas, and so I obviously missed the first day because that was the day I was getting my procedure done. But I went the next day and hung out and shook some hands. And it's just weird how now life goes on. I'm taking a cocktail of blood pressure, blood thinners, beta blockers, anti-cholesterol, a statin drug, and there's 5 of them. I'm not sure which one. I forget which one I missed. But now I check my blood pressure every night and every morning, and I feel great. I feel better than new, which is really cool. I don't know how long this artery had been slowly closing up or clogging, but I definitely have been feeling over the last few months just not great, not sleeping well, just tired, lethargic in the evenings, and I just accounted it to stress, trying to run a business, and it's just the craziness of life. But I'm assuming that artery that was closing up on me was causing some of the problems. So it's very weird, but I'm, like I say, grateful for where I was at, who was there. God's good to allow me to live and tell about it. So I'm thankful.
And Paul, and I recall reading at the time that about 30% of the people that have that type of blockage don't survive the heart attack. So we're all pretty fortunate that you're still with us.
Yeah, that's what I hear too. And I don't really still don't understand heart attacks. I don't understand how this artery or blood vessel or whatever that's called was blocked. My cholesterol has always been good in the 170s to 180s, and my HDL is right, the LDL is right. Everything's in the right spot. Triglycerides, like I say, I don't smoke. There's not a history. I'm not in great shape anymore because for 3 years I've not taken care of my body. But I'm not in bad shape. At the time of the heart attack, I weighed 210. I'm 6'1", so it's not like I'm obese, carrying around a ton of extra weight. I do tend to eat poorly on the road when I'm on the road doing my radio because I don't have any accountability. I don't have, I'm bored out of my mind in the evenings. And so part of the reason I retired from golf is because I got tired of being by myself on the road. And so when I'm at home, though, we eat a lot of veggies and I eat well, but on the road I do not. And, so, I guess I could have taken better care of myself, but I don't see there being a red flag. And, I just hope that through this, my friends who are also my age, I kept thinking of Nota Begay and Jason Bone, who both were in their mid-40s when they had heart attacks. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be one of them. I hear the story of the Widowmaker, and I knew something was going on in my chest. I didn't know what, I couldn't pinpoint where it was. And so I'm like, is this the bad one? Am I going to take 10 steps and drop? So it scared me, obviously. But I'm hoping that, through this, and I've already had a few friends go to the doctor just to go and get their physical or get checked. And I don't know if a stress test and a physical would have shown this, because my EKG after the heart attack was unremarkable. So they didn't see anything there on the EKG even. And the fact that my lipids and all that stuff were in the right spot, I don't know if it would have seen. So I hear about these body scans. I don't know if you've ever heard of those before, but now I'm intrigued and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll go get a body scan the next time I get a physical. I think they're expensive, but if it can read everything in your body, why not? But anyway, that's the deal. I'm grateful. I feel amazing. I've been back in the gym working out. We spent the last couple of days doing a lot of landscaping in my backyard and digging out bushes, and my hammies are sore, my hands are sore, but I feel great. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, and that's, and to your point, everything, kind of feeling good and being good. When I heard the news, it hit me hard for two reasons. A, because you've come to mean a great deal to me, well beyond a guest on this show. You're a great guy, and I hold you in very high esteem. And two, you just always looked in great shape. Definitely not someone that you'd think was on the verge of a heart attack. And like you say, all the numbers coming out good. So doctors weren't able to kind of pinpoint for you, hey, this is sort of what the cause looks like it was?
No, they weren't. I mean, obviously there's a blockage. So I'm on I'm on anti-cholesterol medication. And I'm like, well, my cholesterol's not bad. They go, well, you had a blockage. So you had plaque or whatever. Actually, I don't know the inner workings. I didn't do very well, I guess, in that part of school. Well, I didn't do well in school, period. But another guy, I mean, Roger Tambellini, who played the tour, played web.com. He's played professional golf for a long time from California. Roger looks like a long distance runner, tall, 6'3", probably weighs 180 at the most. He's thin, lean. And he had a massive heart attack a year and a half ago. And so there's really no, you don't have to be, large and obese and sitting in a chair to have heart attacks. I mean, it could happen to anybody. And that's, it's eye-opening, and I really feel like it was a wake-up call for me. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Romans 8:28, and it says, "For we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him." And the all things part is good and bad, And so I look at my career, and I've always looked at my career, and I'm like, God's allowed the good stuff early in my career, the wins and the moving up the world rankings and all that stuff. He allowed it for my good. Now, what does my good mean? Is it so that I can buy a house and a nice car and eat Del Frisco's every night for dinner? No, it's not that. It's that hopefully through that it will draw me closer to Him. And likewise, the bad stuff, the injuries, the falling off the tour, the game going to pot, and all that kind of stuff, also for my good. Because I'm like, okay, that's really weird. So it's just an eye opener, but I love that, and I love that those things should somehow draw me closer to Him, and that's the good that it's for, my good for. And so I'm looking at that. I'm like, what? This is the same way. There's no difference here. That I believe that verse is still true, and this is definitely making me look at life a little bit differently. Because to say I was close, I don't know how close I was. Had I not said anything, I don't know if it would have led to sudden death. I have no idea. But I'm grateful, and I'm smarter now with the way I eat. I haven't had. I think I had Chick-fil-A the other day for the first time, which it was really tasty. But I had a salad. I didn't have a sandwich, but I've lost. I found a great way to lose a quick 10 pounds in 3 weeks, and it's just to have a heart attack. So that's what you want. But I'm down under 200, and that's a goal of mine. Almost a year and a half ago, was to get from 209 all the way down to 199 or 189, and so I had a goal to get to 189. Well, for a whole year, I didn't get below 109 or 209. So now I weighed last night. I'm 197, so I'm down 13 pounds since the heart attack, and I've still got about 8 to go. But I feel good, and I love that. And it really, I'm 46, man. I'm not 20, and I was eating like a 15-year-old. And not working out, not going to the gym, just not taking the time. I still haven't played golf in 3 weeks, but I need to get back out there. So I need to live. A friend of mine sent me a great, I forget what those things are called on the internet. It's like a picture with words on it, like a meme or whatever it is. But or maybe it was just a picture. But it was a picture of a tree. And the cool thing is, like, the tree was cut in half, and the left side of the tree, it looked like dark leaves all over the tree. And the right side of the tree were all these birds had started flying out of the tree, and you can see the branches. And it said, "Don't." How was the title? It said, "Don't just exist, live." And it was great for me to see that. It's like I kind of have been, the birds just sitting in the tree, and the other ones were flying away, and they're living. And so it's definitely changed my thinking a little bit on how I'm living. And I'm only 3 weeks out. I'm sure I'll forget and, get complacent and, like we all do. And a month from now, kind of probably be back eating mooyahs again, cheeseburgers and whatnot. But I hope not. I hope I'm smart enough to not do that.
I'm talking with PGA Tour Pro and member of the Sirius XM PGA Tour Channel broadcasting team, Paul Stankowski, here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Paul, let's talk a little golf. I wanted to kind of get your thoughts as I've got one of your contemporaries set to join me here in a few minutes, Shaun Micheel. Curious, did you get much of an opportunity to play with Shaun?
Yeah, Shaun and I have played together a number of times over the years, and his win was, what was it, like 2003? His big,
right.
The PGA, is that right?
That's right.
2003, yeah. So that was. I was hurt that summer. I'd had my surgery in, I think, June of that year, and I think I actually came back. My first event was right after the PGA, I think. But no, Shaun and I have, we've known each other a long time, and someone told me he just moved to Ventura, California, which is, I grew up in Oxnard, so. I had heard somebody that they saw him practicing out at Olivas Link, so you may ask him about that. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be a surprise. I think he's always lived in Memphis,
maybe
so if he just moved
out there. I know. Maybe he bought a house out there. It's a great place to live, that's for sure. So, but no, I've known Shaun a long time.
And Shaun and I have talked several times about his looking forward to the opportunity to get out there and play on the Champions Tour, which for him is still a couple of years away. You mentioned you're 46 years old, so you got a few years. But are you looking at all ahead to playing out there?
I am. I'm definitely looking ahead to playing out there. I certainly hope that I can get off my butt and get out and practice so I can get ready to play with those guys. Those guys are good. That's the thing about it.
Yeah.
I'm blown away at the fact that, Scott McCarron and Lee Jansen and some of those guys are out there playing, because I'm like, they're not 50. They're only like 40 something, because in my head, I'm still in my 30s. And it just baffles me that I'm literally 3 years away, 2020 in January, when the tour starts up, I'll be ready to go. Now, whether or not I'll have the access to play remains to be seen. I think they're changing some of the rules out there. I've got 2 PGA Tour wins, and I think that they're moving it to 3 or 4. So I may have to go through the qualifying deal and stuff. But regardless, I am looking forward to the opportunity to go out there and play. And a lot of that is just to see my old buddies, because those are the guys that I grew up playing with, and right now I feel like I'm missing out because they're out there playing already, and I'm still years away, and but no, that'll be a good time. Everybody I talk to is, every time I say, is it any fun? All they do is smile ear to ear. They're like, are you kidding me? This is great. So yeah, it'll be fun. I don't know. Shaun's got to be. Is he a little bit younger than me? I think, isn't he?
No, he's a couple of years older than you. He's got a couple of years. But
all right, good. You can get out there before me, and then he'll be old when I get out there at 50.
Right. And Paul, as we look ahead a couple of weeks to the U.S. Open at Oakmont, I had the privilege of having Eric Johnson here on the show a few weeks ago, and Eric is the director of instruction out there at Oakmont. He predicted that the winning score would be +5, which coincidentally was the winning score the last time it was held there in 2007 when Angel Cabrera won there. Have you had an opportunity to play at Oakmont, and what do you expect to see when we get there in a couple of weeks?
I was fortunate enough to play in the U.S. Open in 1994, my rookie year on tour. I qualified, and I got to play at Oakmont, and I think that was Artie's last one. And
right.
I was so intimidated. I'm not a golf historian at all, so at the time I didn't even know Johnny Miller had shot what he shot there and years before, and I'm kind of a knucklehead when it comes to the history of golf, but I've loved the game my whole life, but I just don't know all the stats. But so I show up there, I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. It's an old clubhouse and beautiful golf course, and they didn't have any air conditioning in the locker rooms, which was baffling to me. So they had huge fans, and it was the heat wave in Pittsburgh that summer. It was hot and humid, but I remember getting to the putting green. And I just arrived. It's Monday, and I opened up the pack of golf balls. I threw the 3 balls out of the pack on the green, and I was putting stuff in my bag. And I turned around and looked, and my balls were gone. And I'm like, what the heck? And I look, and they've rolled like 30 feet down the green. Like the greens were so fast, it was like an ice skating rink. And so I'm trying to figure out how to putt these greens, and they are lightning fast. And so I'm hearing the members like chuckling, and they're giggling because they said, "Oh, they slow them down when you guys arrive." Like they're so proud of the fact that their greens are faster than anywhere on the planet. And then when the tour comes for the Open, they slow them down. And I'm like, I think that's a bunch of crap. But they were really fast and really good, and the golf course was spectacular. A lot different than it looks now. I think from what I remember before the last Open, they blew out a lot of trees and did a bunch of work there. But I remember, true story, first, second, third hole of the U.S. Open, 3-putt. And so I'm 4 over par after 3 holes, and I'm just like, I can't figure out what the heck. I'm going to shoot 90. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to break 90 today. I could not figure out how, and I'm 3-putting from like 8 feet. I just can't. I'm hitting 8 footers 7 feet by the hole. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I grew up in California, man. I'm a West Coast guy, Poana greens, typically spongy and bumpy. Even in college, we played some nice golf courses during my 4 years in college. But if the greens were 10.5, 11 on the step meter, that was good, right? But to get to like 13 with slope, it's like, oh my word. So I freaked out. I ended up, I can't remember if I made the cut that year or not. I really don't, which is not too surprising because I can't remember what happened last week most of the time. But but I remember I had a great time, and it was actually O.J. Simpson week. That was when the Bronco and the whole thing. That was that same week. So very weird. But I have played there, and I'll be posted up on my couch. I didn't try to qualify. I stopped doing the U.S. Open qualifiers years ago. It's just a lot of golf in one day, and to go to, if you play really well, then you go to the Open and you just get your butt kicked. And I'm like, I don't want to spend 36 holes on a hot golf course in one day just so I can go get my teeth kicked in at the U.S. Open. So I've, the days of the dreams of winning the U.S. Open are long gone, and when that happened, I figured, I probably don't want to play anymore. But now the senior U.S. Open, maybe we'll I'll endure the qualifyings for that. But it's a fun one, and I'll be watching.
Who do you think we're going to see at the top of the leaderboard come Sunday?
That golf course, a long hitter. Obviously, Cabrera can knock the ball. I believe Ernie Els won that back in 94.
Yes, he did.
He was a long hitter, and DJ's got to win one of these days, right? And he definitely
I don't know,
drives
does he?
the ball really well. I mean, you think he's got to win. The guy has been chipping away at it for a long time. He's been there. He should have for all intents and purposes, he should have won, or he had a really good chance to win last year, and should have at least been in a playoff. But I think DJ's got a shot. Jordan's got to start driving the ball better. I don't care how good you putt at a U.S. Open. If you don't drive the ball in a fairway on a real U.S. Open golf course like Oakmont is, it's going to be a long week. And it's not a golf course that I remember back in the day. I was hitting a lot of irons off the tees. So I don't know how much they lengthened that golf course, but over 22 years ago, the golf ball went a lot shorter back then. And if I was hitting a lot of irons off the tees, it may not be a course that you just try to pound driver all over the place. But the key there is get the ball in play, and then you got to putt like a champ. And Spieth can definitely putt better than most. And but I think DJ he's definitely due. Sergio, another guy. I think, golly, man, I'd love to see Sergio bring home a major and put one under his belt. It was fun watching him win at the Byron Nelson, the AT&T Byron Nelson 2 weeks ago or last week. And I was actually doing the call on PGA Tour Live and DirecTV for that weekend. And our group on Sunday was Sergio and Kyle Reifert. So I got to watch every shot he played. So, I mean, Sergio, is he long overdue? Is he past his time? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he could do it. So I'm going to be picking DJ and Sergio to win every major from here on out until one of them finally does win.
Feel like you're playing the odds eventually?
Right, exactly. I may lose all my money doing it, but someone's got to break through. I'd love to see Sergio win. I really would. I think he's matured a lot.
Just won a couple weeks ago, right? Or last week?
He won last week here in Dallas, yeah. And it's fun watching him. And he hadn't won in 4 years, and prior to that, it was 4 years. So, his great golf time, was 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And but he did win, and it's hard to win on the tour, and he did what he needed to do it, and he started rolling the ball good, and that's been Sergio has had a history of not making a big putt when he needed it, and his emotions kind of got to him. He looks like he's a much more mature player, and he's fun to watch. He's always been fun to watch. I like Sergio. He's a good guy. It'll be good to see him, but it'll be an interesting U.S. Open. U.S. Opens are hard, and they just beat you down mentally, emotionally, and physically. And Oakmont is going to be relentless, and 5 over par. Are you kidding me? If that's the winning score, I mean, you got to take like a month off afterwards just to kind of decompress.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun Open to watch. There's no question. I'm not sure that to your point about rolling the ball and the experience you had on the greens. I'm not sure that I would favor a DJ or Sergio in an event that required really good putting, because I'm not sure that either one of them have putting is their strength of their game. But it's going to be a fun Open to watch. There is no doubt. And like I say, Eric is saying +5 is going to win. +5 won it the last time there in 2007 when Angel Cabrera won it. So it's going to be interesting. And to your point, it seems like U.S. Opens are a war of attrition. So it takes a lot of mental strength. And that's why I like a guy like Jordan Spieth to be able to go in there, because Jordan has at least displayed to me that he is mature beyond his years. We'll see if he is actually put the back nine at Augusta behind him. He played well last week until the final round. He's playing well again this week in his home state of Texas. So we'll see what comes. But it's going to your point, Paul, it's going to be fun to watch.
It will be. And Jordan, I think that the back nine at Augusta is already the great players have the ability to put it away. Especially when it's go time. Now, maybe at home when he's sitting there, in his easy chair, maybe he thinks about it. But when it's go time and you're on the golf course, all you're focusing on, the great players have the ability to focus on this next shot, and that's it. And so I don't think that the back nine at Augusta is on his mind anymore. I mean, it'll hurt him when he thinks about it, but the great players have the ability to focus. And right now he's at Colonial. It's Saturday of Colonial, and he's trying to win, or the Dean and DeLuca, which is weird. Right. He'll always be Colonial. But his focus is trying to win. He's not thinking about Augusta. He's not thinking about the that deal. I think he's going to win a lot more, and he'll be fine. So he'd be a good pick for the Open too. Obviously, pick him every week. Him or Jason Day, they're pretty good.
Yeah,
Rory
right.
actually played pretty good too. So I mean, golf's in a great spot. I've said it before, Chris. Golf is in a really good spot now. We don't have one player that the media is focusing all their attention on. There's a multitude of players now, and you've got there's 5 guys that everybody talks about, or really 3: Jason, Jordan, and Rory. But then you got a bunch of other guys right there behind them, and that's fun, And Mickelson's still in the bunch, and he's getting old, man. I mean, he's almost needs a cane. He's so old. No, I'm kidding. He's younger than I am. But but it's great to see him playing well, and so he hasn't won yet, but he's chipping away and he's there, and I love that. And then we get the whispers of Tiger, and I just heard that he's not playing Memorial, and it looks like the U.S. Open is out, and but you know what? I mean, hopefully he'll come back, and I'd love it if if it really was just the health that was hurting his game, and I'd love to see him come back and start challenging those young whippersnappers. But we'll see. Time will tell there too.
Right. Paul, before we let you go, remind our listeners how they can follow you and your company, Francis Edward, both online and over social media as well.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, and I'm at paul-stankowski. And my company, Francis Edward, it's at Francis Edward _, or on Facebook, it's Francis Edward USA. That's how you can do it. So if you need a really cool looking belt, something to go with those crazy pants you wear, give me a shout. We can hook you up.
There you go. Paul, thank you so much for joining me again this morning. So thankful that you're feeling good and maybe even better than ever. It's a relief to have you back and healthy and to get to hear your voice again on the show. You're always so much fun to talk to, and I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your morning. And like I say, thankful that you're.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. I love being on the show. You take care.
You too, Paul. All the best to you and your family, my friend.
Thanks, brother. You too. Bye-bye.
That is PGA Tour Pro and Sirius XM PGA Tour channel broadcaster Paul Stankowski, and it's like I say, it's a very big sigh of relief that the heart attack, if you're going to have one, like you said, it's good that the people that were around him were there, and they were able to get him to care, and he's back feeling well, and we can look forward to hearing Paul on the Sirius XM channel, and as well, hopefully getting to see him out playing some golf, and then obviously looking ahead to the Champions Tour. I've got my next guest, Shaun Micheel, hanging on the line. We're going to get to Shaun on the other side of this station identification.
You're listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, heard around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network.
And now back with me on the French Lick Resort guest line is my friend Shaun Micheel, 2003 PGA champion. And speaking of good to hear your voice, it's great to hear Shaun Micheel's voice as often as we get the opportunity here on Next on the Tee. Good morning, Shaun. How are you?
Hi, Chris. Good morning. How are you today?
Fantastic. Thank you. And speaking of health things, let's start off before we get to the golf stuff. How's your father feeling?
He's feeling good. He is feeling really good. He finished up his radiation a couple of weeks ago and, battled through some of the fatigue and stuff. But my family and I brought him up yesterday to North Central Nebraska, where he grew up, and he's got a high school reunion tonight, and he had 26 people in his high school, his graduating class, so it was a really small community. But we came up yesterday and are having a great time with all my family and the Micheels, and my daughter got to ride horses, and anyway, we had a great time. So but my dad's doing great. This was a good trip for him, and to kind of get back and just see a lot of people that he hadn't seen in a while, and it's been good for him so far.
That's great. And I just had Paul Stankowski on with me a moment ago, Shaun, and Paul is just a couple of weeks really north of having a heart attack and dealing with that sort of thing, and you're certainly no stranger to that. Talk about your experience and coming the road back once you've gone through something of that nature.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't catch that part of Paul's interview, but I'll reach out to him. It's I think the kind of the shock of once you get diagnosed with something, like me or like Paul or Jason Bone, I think you just kind of look back and you try to revisit the signs and the symptoms. I mean, did I miss something? Was I not proactive enough?
Right.
Did I just ignore it? So there's a lot of things that you kind of go through mentally. And then the other part for me is, I have 4 stents. My right coronary was 99% blocked. And so I constantly worry about the stents holding. I worry about little things that I might feel in my chest that I just pay attention to. I don't know. It's really unfortunate because I'm kind of, I'm not obsessed with it, but those are just some of the mental hurdles. I mean, you have a lot of faith in the doctors and stuff, but I question a lot of the things that the doctors say and do now because, when I was going through all my checkups with all the blockage, I mean, I passed every test. The only one that I didn't pass was the last one, and that was the heart CT with contrast. And so, as great as the doctors are, there's just a lot of stuff that they don't know, that they miss. It's an imperfect science. And, as my doctor told me, he goes, sometimes we just can't fix things. And so I've learned to kind of accept that. But I do worry about little things, how long these stents are going to last and things like that. I mean, you run into people all the time that have bypass surgery and they're 20, 30 years post that, and they've done very well. I think it's just maintenance and pay attention to your health and your eating habits and, things like that. I'm taking all my medication that I'm required to be taking and will continue to do that. But there's just a lot of mental hurdles to overcome, post trauma, I guess.
Yeah, and it's interesting to your point, and Paul mentioned this, a little bit earlier, but the doctors were never able to point to anything, for what caused this. I mean, it wasn't the blockage. He had a 99% blockage, but it wasn't in one of the main arteries, but it was a secondary one. And and they haven't been able to tell him, because he passed every test too, and all his, cholesterol was good, everything else was good, and yet still found himself with a 99% blockage in a secondary artery.
Yeah, I mean it's scary. I mean, those arteries aren't real big, so any little thing that starts to build up, and it's unfortunate that a lot of these things, they just kind of build up over time. You think, oh, I'm great, and then one day something happens to you. Like Jason Bone was extremely lucky, in his situation, because had he had 3 or 4 more holes left to finish, he might not have made it through the 18 holes. I mean, it just happens that quickly. And my high school golf coach, he has a twin brother, and he taught in the same high school that I went to, and he was eating breakfast, and he just, his son said he just took a bite of cereal and his head just went straight into the bowl, and that was it. And that's how quickly these things happen. And so, I know from experience on my shoulder and stuff to not ignore certain things. I mean, we're our best advocates. You have to take your health, and it's your responsibility. And if you, I don't know, I'm amazed at how many people ignore these things and end up in dire situations. But I was lucky. Sounds like maybe Paul was a little bit lucky too, and just thankful to be here, I guess.
Exactly right, and thankful that you are here. And let's you guys kind of talk about some more positive things, a little happier news. I was so excited, Shaun, to hear that you're going to be in the field again this year at the FedEx St. Jude Classic up there in your hometown of Memphis. They're coming up here in a couple of weeks. Talk about getting out there and getting after it at TPC Southwind.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been working hard really since February. I went down to Florida and practiced for a number of weeks, and just trying to get my game in shape. And so really every day I've been spending 5-6 hours out there every day. Matter of fact, I had to get a cortisone shot in my elbow yesterday morning before I flew up here.
Oh,
so I've maybe been overdoing it a little bit, but yeah, I got a call from Jack Sammons, the tournament chairman, last week, and he had asked me how my dad was doing, and I said, my dad's doing great. I'm sitting here with him right now. He says, well, I want you to tell him something. Tell him that your son's going to be playing in the FedEx. So it was really kind of a nice it was a nice phone call to get. You know, have a good relationship with everybody at the board, and the tournament director, Daryl Smith. He's new. This is his first year, and so yeah, I'm excited about playing. I've been working hard. It's I have been eager to really get out and play, and I had planned on doing a lot of Monday qualifiers this year, and then just with the cancer diagnosis of my father, it just really has kept me close to home. You know, my mom passed a few years ago, and my sister lives in Madagascar, so I just decided, I'm just going to stay here with him, and my golf, I'll get an opportunity to play sometime, and so that's kind of what I've done. But so the competition for me hasn't been there. I've not played a tournament really since the PGA last year, so there'll be a little bit of nerves there, but I am excited to play. I think the golf course will be in good shape. Had quite a bit of rain here, but Southwind, is a hard golf course. I mean, I think maybe Fabian Gomez last year was 13, maybe 14 under, but he birdied the last 2-3 holes, something like that. But typically, if you're around 8, 9, 10 under, I mean, it's gonna be a good week because it's a very tough golf course, and I think that suits my game.
And talk about that. Where on that golf course? Where are the gotchas? When you're looking at strategy, where are the gotchas? On that golf course that you need to stay away from, and then on the opposite side, where are there some real opportunities to attack it and score well?
Well, first of all, the greens are really small. They're small target areas. They have got some undulation. They're very fast. The holes in particular are really the par threes. It starts at number 4. It's kind of a kidney-shaped green and with water in the front left, and there's just really not many places to miss it. You really got to kind of suck it up and hit a good shot there, and it's definitely not one of my favorite holes there. Then you get to you get to 5, and 5 is a converted par 5. They changed it a number of years ago. They're just difficult greens. I mean, I can list a couple of holes, but the par threes really kind of stand out to me. And I always figure if you can birdie a par 3 or 2 every day, you're kind of gaining strokes on the field. But with technology and agronomy and the firmness of the fairways, if they can get them, these Zoysia fairways, they get cut down, you do get the ball rolling out there a little bit so you can get some distance. The greens are just tricky to read. I started putting these pins 3 and 4 from the edges. I think people, at least in my case, feel like I, should make every putt, but I don't see the greens at the speeds that they play them in the tournament, and I don't see the pin locations. I mean, you just can't put them there when regular membership play is going on. So it's, and it comes down to 17 and 18. We saw what Robert Garrigus did in 2010. I finished 4th that year and one shot at the playoff, and it's a pivotal hole, even though it's at the end. It just, if you got a one-shot lead there, you don't feel too good about it. You like to have a 2 or 3. But overall, the golf course is just difficult. There's a lot of dog legs, a lot of moving parts. There's some water in strategic areas. 14's probably the most notable par 3, and would be the hardest par 3 on the tour if they played the back tee. That is about 25 yards from the back tee, and there's water short and right, and just kind of a really, really pitched green. So it's a tough course, but you can go back and just look at the history of the event there, and when they changed from bent grass to Champions Bermuda, probably about 8, 9, 10 years ago, something like that. You'll see the difference in scores. John Cook won with 26 under par. It might have been the last year they had bent, and then the next year, it was like 8, 9 under, something like that. So it's changed dramatically, and without much change in length or routing. They did add length to a couple holes, but that's, with the technology and stuff, and these kids are hitting it so far that it really hasn't factored in.
And Shaun, Jordan Spieth has talked about, feeling the encouragement of his fans, over the last couple of weeks playing in his home state of Texas. Do you feel the energy and encouragement from the local fans for you when you're out there playing at Southwind?
Yeah, I do now. I mean, I've always felt that, but I think, I was always very nervous playing at home. I had a lot of people that wanted to come out and watch and cheer me on and stuff like that. And so I always felt a little extra pressure. And I was never as relaxed as I would have liked to have been. Now I kind of know my place in golf, and I'm certainly on the backside of my PGA Tour career. And I think even though I'm trying to compete and I want to win and I want to do well, I'm a little bit more expressive on the course with my friends and stuff. I'll talk to people walking from green to tee and stuff like that up the fairways, which I never used to do. And I certainly wish I would have been a little bit more relaxed instead of just kind of I'll call it in the zone or, the entire 18 holes. But I do appreciate, everyone coming out, and I've known a lot of these people. I see the same faces year after year just because, I've been in Memphis since 1973. So I've got a lot of relationships, both with people my age, both with people of my father's age. I mean, I grew up playing golf with my dad's FedEx group before a lot of my friends started playing golf. So I've got a lot of friends from all ages. They've seen me, they know me, and it's fun. It's gotten to be more fun than it used to be because I was always just kind of head down. I wouldn't look left or right. It was just basically get on the first tee and walk till I get to the 18th hole. And, I think that's one of my regrets through most of my career is that I wasn't able to, be as relaxed as I would have liked to, and maybe I'll even use the word friendly, but it is what it is. I try to just play the best that I can. And again, I'm a lot more relaxed than I used to be. And it's fun. It's a lot more fun. It's easier on me to accept the bad with the good when I'm that way. I realize that golf is not life or death. It sure seems like that sometimes, and that's how you make your living. And I've had a pretty long career, a fairly successful career, so I don't feel like I'm out grinding, worrying about paying my electric bill or anything like that, like I used to be.
And Shaun, we've talked over the last few times that you've been on the show about several different pieces of equipment that you've practiced with over the last year or so. When you get to St. Jude's, what are you going to be teeing it up with? What's in your bag?
Well, this year I made a switch to Wilson Staff. Ron Graham is the rep out there, and he's from Nashville, and I used to play golf against his brother Steve. And I've known him for a long time, and I was kind of looking around for some different stuff, and I've been with a lot of different companies. TaylorMade, Cleveland Golf certainly I was with them in the heyday of my career up through 2006, and Callaway. But I've still got I've got my Callaway driver, 3-wood wedges, and I still got my backstrike putter, which I've been using since 2010. But I decided to just try something a little bit different. I put I had Ron send me some Wilson irons, FG4s. He actually sent me a set of blades. But I really kind of migrated toward the FG4. It's a beautiful looking club. And I'm trying new shafts. I've got some Nippon Tour 125s that Lee Oyer sent to me back in January. And now actually I have stiff shafts in those. I wanted to try something that's heavy, a little heavier, but not quite as stiff. And so I've kind of gone down in flex a little bit, but I like to keep the weight up. They did send me a set of X100s last week, so I'm going to get those bent and try to see if I can get a little bit more penetrating ball flight with those because I still hit the irons pretty high. But, I've kind of been messing around, and I've really been messing around with putters really in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I've tried probably 15, 20 different putters. I just kind of going through a phase where either the ball position's gotten off or my eye line has changed or something. And I went back and looked at some videos on PGAtour.com of me putting in like 10, I guess, and keyed me back in on something. So I'm excited. So hopefully I think I've got my 14 clubs in check. And so I'll spend the next week just working with those and, trying to get ready for this, for the FedEx that starts in a couple of weeks.
So now that you got your clubs, all set for the tournament, talk about the person that's going to be carrying those clubs for you. When you put a team together, you and your caddy, what are you looking for from a caddy? We hear so many different things about what different players prefer their caddies do and how they act and that sort of thing. Out there on the course during the course of a tournament, what are you looking for from your caddy?
I mean, other than the obvious things, a guy that shows up on time, those are the typical things that you expect that really aren't. I mean, those are kind of unwritten rules. I mean, it's not like when the guy shows up on my bag and says, okay, I need you to be here an hour before. They might ask you that. But, I've looked back at my career, and the guys that have caddied for me are just people that I've enjoyed being around, easygoing guys, but just really friends. I think in the last couple of years, a good friend of mine, Steven Johnson, caddied for me for a couple of years probably, and starting about 2010, and we had a good run, and then I wasn't playing as much. He went back and got his law license back and was doing that. But now I think I just look at it as more of a friend relationship than anything else. I mean, anybody can get out there and add and subtract and stuff like that, but I've never been too just in search of anyone in particular that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why I haven't, maybe not as good of a player as I needed to be. I don't know. I had a couple of good guys. Tony Lingard from Australia. We had a good run there at the PGA and World Match Play in 2006. And I just look back and all the guys are about the same personality, same temperament, fun to be around, knew when to kind of pull the reins on me a little bit, guys that weren't afraid. If I said something kind of out of line, they weren't afraid to give it back to me, which is always good. I don't need anybody reading the greens. I don't like that. I like to just play. I like to have, front yardages to the pin, and everybody wants something a little bit different, I guess. But I've had a rather simplistic approach to the player-caddy relationship, and it's really about getting along, having a great time with them, talking about things besides golf on the golf course. Because, as I mentioned earlier, there was too much of my career early on was spent trying to figure out, what I was going to do, what the next club was going to be, what the putt was going to do when I got to the green. I mean, I never was able to escape, the 18 holes or the 5 hours of just the grind. And these guys that I've been having have helped me do that. So, I just want a friend out there and, someone that I can get along with, go to dinner with, someone I enjoy spending time around. I like to hang out with the caddies. It helps me with my game, my attitude. I understand that, sometimes you can be hard on your guy, and sometimes an apology is warranted, which I've done on numerous times, and hung out with the caddies and just tried to listen to what their perspective was, some of the things that they were going through, and just making friendships outside of golf and, outside of the playing part of the guys that just kind of hide out in the locker room and the player dining. I've always enjoyed my time with the caddies and getting to know them and their families and trying to make their life better too.
I'm talking with 2003 PGA Champion Shaun Micheel here on Next on the Tee. And Shaun, just a couple more before we let you go. I saw that someone recently sent you a pin flag from Oak Hill and asked you to sign it along with some of the other great champions who won there, like, Jack Nicklaus, Lee Trevino, Curtis Strange, Jason Duffner. Do you ever sit back and just sort of soak in the fact that not only are you a part of an elite fraternity of guys who've ever won a major, but you're also a member of even even more select group of legends who did it there at Oak Hill?
Oh yeah, of course. It's funny, I posted that, and when I first got on tour and was playing golf every week, and then certainly after I won the PGA, I was getting tons and tons of fan mail, which I've always signed. I mean, we've seen stories about Arnold Palmer, how much he signs every single day and how much money he actually spends on the postage to send it back. I've always enjoyed that. And each time that I get a flag or it's usually accompanied by a letter or a card or something, and I have a special place for all of that stuff. I keep every one of those letters. But yeah, it feels good when you look down there at the list of people that have won at Oak Hill. it's pretty special. I mean, that's a really special place. It's a place that I hope to go back to, prior to the 2023 PGA. But, it's kind of nice to be immortalized with some of these guys that have had such great careers. And but as I've said before, I'm not too much into the history of the game of golf. I mean, I appreciate it. But in Ted's particular case, he had suffered through some health problems, and he's not able to get out on the golf course. And as I said to him, I wrote him. I sent him an email, and I wrote him a card back. And I said, I'm not much of a collector of things, but I always appreciate being able to add to someone else's collections and just the fun of doing things like that. So. It is cool. It is cool. I don't get as much stuff as I used to, and I understand. But anytime I get something like that, I open it up with a lot of anticipation to kind of see what it is that they have, and maybe it's been something that I'd given them or something like that. So it's pretty cool.
I bet it is. And I went out and bought a souvenir ball marker from the 2003 PGA Championship, sort of as a good luck piece, and out of my great respect for you, Shaun.
Well, I appreciate it. There's a lot of great things out there. You can search eBay, and there's a lot of really interesting pieces that are out there for sale that people come across. And again, as I said, I keep these cards and these letters. I got one may have been 2 summers ago from someone that was in a federal penitentiary in Oklahoma. And at first I was a little taken aback because normally when we get these types of things, they send them to the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour puts their stamp over it and puts my address on it. Well, this one came directly to my house, and I was kind of caught back a little bit about how someone in a federal penitentiary is, sending something directly to my home. So, when you work the old Google machine, I mean, sometimes things pop up that you don't want to show up on there. So anyway, but it's cool. I really enjoy doing these types of things. It's a lot of fun, and I've always enjoyed that. I've always enjoyed being around people, letting them give me stories and stuff about their relationships in golf and playing golf or watching golf. What shots come to mind. I enjoy that, and I'm very thankful and lucky to be have people still sending me stuff and wanting me to sign it.
That's great stuff. Shaun, before we let you go, remind our listeners again how they can follow you online and over social media as well.
You can follow me at Shaun Micheel PGA, and then you can find me on Facebook, Shaun Micheel. So for right now, I got to give a shout out to my dad's town, Ainsworth, Nebraska, population probably about 2,000. I'm sitting here right now, just kind of looking out at the town and enjoying being up here with my family, who I don't get to see very often. And I'm getting to be my dad's date tonight to his Kippahaw County High School reunion. They have one unique thing about Springview, Nebraska, which is where I'm going to be going tonight. It's about 20 miles from here. Is they have a 9-hole golf course with sand greens. And
sand greens.
Interesting. Yes, if you've never seen that, it's pretty interesting. In fact, my dad's walking by me right now. So we're going to do that, and spend a couple more days, trying to ride horses and try not to fall off and all those things. But but back to your show. We you can find me in those 2 locations, and I'm going to post a few more things about the trip tonight, and it's been a lot of fun catching up.
That's wonderful. Shaun, thank you so much for being a part of the show again this week. Always great to talk to you, and please wish your father all the best from us. He remains in our thoughts and our prayers.
Definitely will. Chris, thanks. I always enjoyed being with you.
Thank you, Shaun. Take care. Look forward to catching up with you again soon. If it's not before the St. Jude Classic, know we're in your corner and rooting hard for you, my friend.
That sounds great. I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks so much.
Take care, Shaun.
Bye-bye.
That is 2003 PGA Champion Shaun Micheel. And, folks, you're not going to find a more solid individual anywhere on the planet than Shaun. Please give him a follow on Twitter at Shaun Micheel PGA, and you can search him out on Facebook as well. He always likes hearing from you and interacting with fans of the game and his fans as well. So please give him a follow. Find him on Facebook. All right, folks, it is time for me to put a bow on this episode. But before we close up shop, I want to remind you about our friends and our partner, PGA Pro Jim Estes, and the great folks over at the Salute Military Golf Association. Let's hear a word from Jim about all the great things that they're doing.
The Salute Military Golf Association was created to provide rehabilitative golf experiences to the brave men and women who have been wounded while serving our country. Hi, I'm Jim Estes, PGA Golf Pro and co-founder of the Salute Military Golf Association. With my adaptive golf program, we've successfully helped thousands of soldiers in their recovery, both mentally and physically. The SMGA has been providing family-inclusive golf experiences across the country since 2007. To date, the SMGA has equipped more than 1,000 warriors with properly fitted golf clubs and has extended its clinic series to more than 8 chapter and affiliate locations across the U.S. If you are a wounded veteran interested in participating, or if you'd like to learn more about the Salute Military Golf Association and find a chapter closest to you, visit our website at smga.org. We've seen firsthand how impactful golf can be in aiding one's recovery. The Salute Military Golf Association, empowering wounded veterans one fairway at a time. Visit smga.org. That's smga.org.
Yeah, they are doing some great things there at the Salute Military Golf Association. Please, to find out more information and how you can get involved, check out their website at smga.org. All right, everyone, my sincere thanks again to Paul Stankowski and Shaun Micheel for making today's show so much fun for me to be a part of. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Please also check out our sister show, Thursday Night Tailgate, with me and my co-host Bob Lazari, our announcer Joe LaGenusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find it on Blog Talk Radio as well as the Armed Forces Radio Network as well. That show, like this one, also available to be streamed as a podcast from iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Player.fm, SoundCloud, YouTube. We are all over the net. Please check us out. On Thursday Night Tailgate, every week, we are joined by legends and stars from around the NFL and the Canadian Football League as well. Please also check out both shows on Facebook. Give us a like. That's important to us, too. And you can find us online. This show, nextonthetee.net and ThursdayNightTailgate.com. You can stream or download any of our archive episodes for free, folks. Plus, keep up to date with who some of our future guests are going to be as well on both sites. I can't thank you enough for choosing to listen to this show again today, Next on the Tee. We really appreciate it. Until next week, hit him straight, my friends.
You've been listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, where PGA and LPGA legends, pros and top instructors, and media members go to tell their stories. Join us the same time every Saturday to hear more stories about the game we love from the people who love sharing those stories with you. It's all about the great game of golf. It's all about the great game of golf.